Hey guys, it's Julian from the Tower of Babble Podcast. And it's been a while since we've done an excerpt from our show, but this last episode, episode 29, which you can find on towerofbabblepodcast.com, was particularly good. And we really enjoyed our discussion on the GDC panels and the studies that came out about players relating to game characters and versus plot and players not finishing games. So I've taken that out, put it here for your listening pleasure. So enjoy. There's some panels where people talked about people not really caring about plots in games and connecting more with characters, whereas in television shows it seems to be more the opposite, and like movies. And then there's also with another one where people they talk about people really not finishing games. Like a majority of people never finish a single player game.
That makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me either.
Makes sense to me.
What?
There's games you haven't finished. I know you finished most games.
I've finished
every game
out of my entire library. There's like
finish.
3 games that I haven't finished.
I don't know what that.
The only game I haven't finished is the latest Tomb Raiders because I lent it to my girlfriend and I haven't brought it back.
Yeah, she's never playing that.
Yeah, I know.
But I agree with that. Like certain games.
No, even
Like
back in the day when I would rent
like,
games.
Because with the whole panel of the story and plot, story-driven games for me, I want to get through that plot and story to learn.
Because you like to follow the plot.
But for a lot of people, it's like, do you have time to do the repetitive motions of a 20-hour video game
or more longer, 40 with some, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know? Sometimes things will come up, new games will come up too as well.
Exactly, especially in the fall when you got like games every week.
You'll be entrenched in other games, and then you won't have time to go back, and you won't want to go back.
Yeah, I mean, I brought those up together because I think they're very related.
Yeah, they're very relatable.
But I mean, there's games that I haven't finished, like Transformers, that one that was made by
War for Cybertron.
The first one.
Yeah.
I never finished that only because the gameplay was kind of tough for me.
Yeah, I didn't finish either because the second or third level or something, I didn't.
It's like you can't. It's weird because like everything looks. Not that I want to talk about like those games that much, but like everything looks the same. It's all like. Mm-hmm. You can't really see what's going on. It's like kind of like playing back in like the N64 days, and it's all just a blur. Everything, all the walls look the same as characters.
But a game like Batman or Dead Space or Uncharted, like I can't see people just stopping and not finishing those.
No, I get it.
I know a guy at work. He was playing The Last of Us. We talked about it like extensively. He loved it, and he still hasn't finished it. He just
I know a friend at work that literally skipped every cutscene in Uncharted. Literally skipped them and played the entire game just for the action scenes. Makes no sense. I know. I don't get it either.
Yeah, you're not too far off from that, though. You skip cutscenes in the very beginning. No, in the very beginning of a game. Like
only if I've already seen it.
I don't know, man.
So what they did was they did like a test where they compared people's knowledge and accuracy of recalling their favorite movies plot and characters versus their favorite games plot and characters.
Yeah, it's
found that and it's kind of wishy-washy.
It's very smoky.
But like the idea is that people remember their favorite movie's plot more easily and more accurately.
Whereas they remember the characters in video games.
I think that's kind of inherent to the medium.
Yeah, because it already is, because you're playing as that character and all you're doing is maybe just bashing down enemies.
Like, can you name to me what the plot is in Uncharted 1? What's going on in that game? But you know
in Uncharted 1, you're like a treasure hunt. It's really
exactly.
Yeah, really right.
But you know Drake though, right? Yeah. You know Drake and you know Elena.
But it's so much longer and there's so many more plot twists that it's hard to remember every single detail.
Video games, by definition, immerse you as the character. You're not just watching the character; you are the character.
Well, I think sometimes that's
the main argument that a lot of people have been having on the internet actually right now. Yeah. Is that one right there?
Yeah. I mean, like, where you're exactly in a television show and a movie, you're watching a character who exists
They're
already.
making the decisions. You can root for them or not root for them.
Even if it is a main character, it's not you. Like,
and now more days in games, you're making the decisions as the character, so they're
especially
your
with
own decisions.
Mass Effect, where you're making like the good versus evil,
and I feel like Dead as well.
Exactly, I feel like there'll be in the future. The choices will be less black and white. You know, where with Mass Effect, it's like this is the good decision, it's blue. And this is the bad decision. It's red.
Even they tell you that. They've already kind of.
Yeah,
the way I played it was I did in the situation at hand. I chose what I would do in the situation. I didn't see the red or blue. I just did what I would have done.
Well, that's why you didn't get the red or blue options. You have to have a certain level to get.
But when you do whatever
that's
you want to do,
exactly. Is that probably with
No,
game
once you get to
design?
that level, then
Exactly.
yeah.
Like with
Well, yeah,
game
you get
design,
to
is
that
that an
level
issue
anyways.
alone? Like, should you have to build all the way up to be able to choose a good or versus
no,
bad?
that's the flaw in that game, in
Yeah.
my opinion, is that you want to have just blue, then you have to always just choose that. What I did is I leaned to the side of blue, but when there's certain situations where I felt someone was wrong, I would do an opposite decision, but I'd still have lots of blue.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have the full blue to do all those
the-
crazy other options to get out of situations.
Yeah, like there's one scene where you get that full like
Yeah.
full blue to
Yeah.
talk. What's that girl with the bald head in Mass Effect? So Jack, so she's like crying or something and like or pissed off.
And you bang her.
And you have to have full blue to talk, like to convince her to like do something. I don't know.
Yeah, but in my opinion, that stuff
is that actually what happens?
You have sex with it, yeah, for sure.
In my opinion,
with full blue?
Yeah.
Really?
But it's not about banging her. It's about like being the only person that's ever loved
Even
her.
then, also adhering to that
That's lame.
black or white is also kind of an easy way out because you know you have that option coming up.
Exactly.
Click that and it's done.
Yeah.
Whereas the beauty of Mass Effect is playing in the gray area and not always having the easy option out and figuring out what you
Mass
should
Effect did a good job of that compared to other, even like BioWare RPGs, in KOTOR and in Jade Empire. They have the same kind of system where you get black, like good or bad points. But say you have a bunch of good points and you do something bad, it takes away from your good points. Mass Effect doesn't do that. You get Renegade and Paragon points.
Yeah.
And Renegade don't take away from Paragon. It just unlocks.
That makes a lot of sense because I feel like
Because otherwise, if in Knights of the Old Republic, if you play as a Grey Jedi, there's like one little special armor that you get, but other than that, you don't get the benefits of either side. You just suck.
And also in Walking Dead, you don't see any of that amassed anything.
you only know at the end.
You only know from what you've done, how could
At the end
affect
of the
this
chapter,
person.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think they show you like this person will remember that what you said. I think that's way more powerful when you don't really know what's going on and then somebody can come back and bite you in the ass.
I think the whole bring it back around, the fact that most people don't finish their games, I think is probably an issue. And I think going forward, I think game design should probably address that in some way.
No, I don't like that.
that's
That
what-
means making shorter games.
Not
everybody has to do
necessarily
it though.
mean that. It means
because
making more
people do
engaging
finish those
games.
games. Whereas Ken Levine and Bioshock Infinite,
Yeah.
the Irrational, whatever, that's what they're doing, right?
They're moving to shorter
they're
games.
switching to shorter games.
But even then, those games that you guys are talking about, Uncharted and Last of Us, those are comparatively short
Yeah, but they're
games.
still
Compared to Mass Effect,
Yeah.
absolutely. But do you could
not
you
to most people, to you, yes,
would
because
you
you sit down and play them all at once.
yeah.
well that in like I said, comparatively to Mass Effect, which is a 45-hour
45-hour game, yeah.
Whereas
guys like us will actually sit there and play for 10 hours a day, which you've done.
yeah, I've literally with Mass
Most
Effect, I
people
literally
don't.
played
Yeah.
for 12 straight hours,
Yeah.
and I was like, I felt sick at
I
the
beat
end, but I
Uncharted 3.
but I did not regret
Maybe
a single
Uncharted 3
moment.
one sitting,
One
one day.
sitting, I beat Uncharted 3.
But
What?
those games are still
When did you take a shit?
you can stop into the washroom. But those games already have their following and will be backed by people, right? They're just talking about like
Going
the test
forward.
that they did and like everyone in total.
I think
loss
you
and
could get
people
into
aren't
this like a
finishing.
lot more, and you could say like how people today are much more like don't have the same attention spans and blah blah blah. I don't want to
No,
get into
it's
that.
True, it's true to a certain extent. It's just not like they're not like 100% correct. You know what I mean? Like it's.
But those studies aren't like don't prove anything or
Yeah.
disprove anything. I just think it does shine a light on the fact that some people I think are turned off by some of those longer games, and that
Yeah.
maybe a way of playing those longer games in shorter way or in a better
There's other
way.
ways like I don't go back and finish games when more come out because I have to play those games.
Exactly.
I'd rather play those games.
No, this is one of the challenges video game companies have always faced, though, is whether you
Replayability.
target the larger audience or the hardcore gamers, right?
I think you can.
And most of the time,
It's
they're
hard
doing,
to find a happy medium between
Most-
What,
yeah,
what is
most of
Uncharted? I feel like they've done a
Most
good
of the
job
time
of
now
that.
they're doing everyone.
I bring this up a couple
Their
of times, but I think that they've not mastered because I don't think anyone's mastered it. But I think they've done the best job to date of finding that balance between hardcore gaming and casual gaming and plot and characters. I think that exemplifies to me both
No, they
those
do a
things.
good job of all those things, but if people aren't finishing their games, they're going to make shorter games.
And it just the subject matter lends to it that already because, like Batman, like that's a nerdy subject, right? Like it's
Yeah,
comic books.
absolutely.
Not everyone's gonna jump into that, right? Whereas Uncharted is kind of it's easier for people to jump into, right? It's like a Indiana Jones type thing, like a movie, right?
Yeah.
I honestly can't think of ever playing a game and thinking that it was too long.
Every single Red Dead Redemption and every
And
single
I say
Grand Theft
Mass
Auto.
Effect. I say Mass Effect too. I think
No.
those are too long.
Like honestly, every Mass Effect, most
No,
games
like-
I play, like I wish it was longer.
Yeah,
Because in every movie too, like imagine like I wish there was a constant feed of what's going
That's
on
one
in
of
the
the
Marvel
beauties of
Cinematic
video games
Universe,
versus
so that I always knew
And
what was
then-
going on.
And
Like-
it's like, you don't want Batman to be super long. Like, it's a story. You have
Sure.
to finish a story. You can't be always out there all the
But
time.
the thing with
hours.
Batman is though there is a constant. It is never ending. That's the
Yeah,
whole
no, but it's
point.
never going to be 40 hours.
No, I don't want a
40-hour
40-hour Batman game.
But
no.
Mass Effect, we do a 40-hour Mass Effect game because there's so many planets
Well,
and side
and
missions you can go to.
That's one of the beauties of video games, though, is that you can pick it up and stop whenever you want. It could be a bunch of stories back to
Okay, but
back
then
to
you have
back.
the issue of engagement where you have, so you do put it down. Does your game have the ability to
Yeah.
be picked up again 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and still be as engaging
And
as
again,
it was
that's
when you started?
there's a different answer for every person out there, and it's hard to find, like...
No, obviously. I get that.
So that's why you have never said a game
Yeah,
has never
no,
been too
I
long.
like to play video games.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to what I was going to get at before I said we don't want to get into that. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this excerpt from our Tower of Babble podcast. If you want to hear more, you can find the rest at towerofbabblepodcast.com and on iTunes and Stitcher. But we want to know what you think, so send us questions or concerns to towerofbabblepodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter @TowerBabblecast and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TowerBabblecast.